sixth episode, sixth edition. The way you are appreciating, liking, and commenting on BHAV GANGA, that is very, very heartening for me, and it gives a hope to the entire humanity and entire Mother Earth, all the children of Mother Earth, including all the flora and fauna, that we will overcome the problems our Mother Earth is facing. All the species on this earth are facing, and we will live together happily. And for this, we have an open eye, open mind, and open education system is very necessary, which connects all the creatures of the earth as children of Mother Earth. Vasudha Kutumbakam. The world is one family, one big family. Today, we will narrate a story written by me long back, almost 35-40 years back. And when it was published in a magazine, the record number of comments came to the editor. Editor said to me that this is the record number of letters came to me at that time. The search of the story. The title is, in Hindi its title was Kahani Ki Talash. The title is, and in English the title is Search of a Story. This is first, initially it was published as a story, but subsequently the same story developed into a novel. This novel, The Win Win Win, The Orphan Way, now it is the first chapter of that novel. And the story is of an orphan child. I made this orphan child hero because he was found thrown in front of an orphanage. The small child, few hours or few days, it grown up in the orphanage. It has so many disadvantages, but it has one advantage. He has one advantage. He does not know his caste, creed, place of birth, language, nationality. Just he was found outside an orphanage. No parentage is known. So he developed although he developed as an orphan, he developed as a child of Mother Earth. So he considers Mother Earth as his mother and the entire beings as his siblings. So that is why the hero, an orphan child. Now, this is the story when he was a little boy in the orphanage. He has grown 7, 8 years, 9 years or 10 years. And Amit is the manager of the orphanage. Initially, and Amit is a writer. Every year he tries to send a story in the national or international story competition, and he never got first prize. He gets second or third below that. He wanted that his story should get first prize. He wants to get gold medal. in his story. But this time he has become a manager of the orphanage, and therefore he's too busy because he's very sincere, very dedicated. He wants to fulfill each and every need of the children in the orphanage. Therefore, he could not get time. He's not getting time to write the story. That paradox, doing his work or writing, he is swinging it between. Sometimes, but he wants to do his duty first. Writing should be a shadow. That is how he is doing and he is living in that orphanage. Now the story. The stories that Amit wrote found an honorable place in various journals and magazines. Having participated in the National Story Writing Competition the previous year, he had to be content with the consolation prize. Mostly he was writing stories on issues relating to children. Keen on participating in the forthcoming national level story writing competition, he decided to apply himself to the task with great enthusiasm. The condition for joining this race was that an unpublished story should be submitted for evaluation. However, all his stories so far had already appeared in print, thus leaving him no option other than writing a fresh piece of a story. In the meanwhile, he joined as the manager of this orphanage, having approximately 200 children as inmates. Bird is singing. It is saying that, yes, I am like that orphan child, because now the entire Mother Earth and nature is my mother. Yes. See the song of the birds. In the meanwhile, he joined as the manager of this orphanage, having approximately 200 children as inmates. He was given accommodation in a room adjacent to those of the children. Both men and women are appointed as workers in the orphanage. Sumitra and Ramola generally looked after the small children in pre-adolescent age group. They addressed Sumitra as Ma and Ramola as Didi. These are the words for mother and sister. Ma, mother, and Didi, sister. The home had children of every age group. And there are many things in this story which are there in Indian context, that I will explain later when those things will come up. So that all the persons on earth, whether they are in Australia or Canada or US or in other countries, they can understand and visualize. They addressed Sumitra as Ma and Ramola as Didi. The home had children of every age group, and each child was endowed with a distinct personality. This is not only in orphanage, everywhere. Every child which is born on earth, he has a distinct talent and personality. The main task of his surroundings, be parents or teachers or whosoever responsible for his growth, to bring out that special talent, that unique ability that is there in the child, that unique potentiality. The home had children of every age group, and each child was endowed with a distinct personality. Different levels of intelligence were manifest in the boys. A whole array of hobbies, ranging from music to sports, kept the boys busy in their leisure hours. Some enjoyed indulging in mischief, and whole day their complaints were received. See, Bablu just hit me and ran away. All these complaints, Amit always listens. Amit, the name of the manager. See, Bablu just hit me and ran away. Kamal broke my pen. Mangal pushed me down. In this motley crowd of children was a boy called Sambhav. His name is Sambhav. Sambhav is meaning is possible. In Hindi, it is the word is Sambhav, and in English, the meaning of Sambhav is possible. Sambhav means possible, and in fact, the Sambhav has made possible the Mother Earth as a true home of all the children of this earth as one family, one unit, with love for each other. That has made possible. How? That is how this, for that only this novel evolved. I will say evolved. In this motley crowd of children was a boy called Sambhav, who was very gentle, sensitive, and sincere. He was found left near the gate of orphanage and had been brought up here. He was about 12 to 14 years of age now. It was probably these traits of personality which endeared him to all the workers and officials of the orphanage. His loving traits of his personality, those made him endeared to all the workers and officials of the orphanage. Amit too began to hold him in high esteem. Amit too began to hold him in high esteem. Quite often, the two would be engaged in long conversations. Quite often, the two would be engaged in long conversations. Amit's presence in the orphanage began creating a strong and positive impact. Amit's presence in the orphanage began creating a strong and positive impact. He was very affectionate, kind, and devoted person. All the members soon expressed the opinion that the atmosphere was changed with love, and the semblance of life began to grow rapidly. All the kids called Amit Chacha Ji, that is uncle. And Sambhav too addressed him in the same manner. Amit loved Sambhav because he had seen the tremendous possibilities and potentialities in him. Amit loved Sambhav because he had seen the tremendous possibilities and potentialities in him. Every day, Amit discussed every issue, regardless of its magnitude, with Sambhav. Whatever problems of the orphanage, that also he discussed with Sambhav. And the latter would unravel his opinions, and Sambhav used to give his opinions, his feedback, or his solutions. Sambhav asked questions related to the range of problems he was facing. Amit tried to answer his questions and satisfy his curiosity to the best of his ability. When Amit discussed the national story writing competition, Sambhav asked so many questions. Chacha ji, how do stories get written? How do stories get written? Is it easy to write stories? Will I too be able to write stories? How does one judge which story is the best? How does one judge which story is the best? Who are the jury members and how do they decide about the award? Who are the jury members and how do they decide about the awards? Is it possible for me to identify which story is better? Is it possible for me to decide with the children which story is better? Amit replied thus, my child, the story you children consider to be the best are in fact best. You can be or you are the best judge. Amit replied thus, my child, the story you children consider to be the best are in fact best. All other parameters of judgment are irrelevant. All other parameters of judgment are irrelevant. It is the duty of duty of your generation to help develop literature in all its aspects. It is the duty of your generation to help develop literature in all aspects. Nobody else will shoulder this responsibility. Nobody else will shoulder this responsibility. Your opinion turns out to be accurate most of the time because you do not judge the stories from a utilitarian angle, from selfish angle. And then the children of the orphanage have an even more refined taste. This is due to the fact that all of you are above the petty squabbles and divisions of society. Your perceptions cannot be anything other than pure and unperturbed. Your perceptions cannot be anything other than pure and unperturbed. So, this is the fact about how you youngsters find stories deeply appealing. So, this is the fact about how you youngsters find stories deeply appealing. Actually, I believe that a good story is one which grows, blossoms, and reaches fruition in the reader's mind. The story which, after reading, lingers on in the mind and receives increasingly greater appreciation is certainly a good story. Such stories, read after regular intervals of time, such stories read after regular intervals of time reveal something more about themselves concerning readers. Amit, after a while, continued with his opinions. A friend of mine believes that just a singer begins singing a folk song and the chorus carries it forth with gusto, so in the same way, literature, creation, or creative work grows in amplitude and stature due to the critical assessment of its readers. Such is the measuring standard of good such is the measuring standard of good literature. By growing in amplitude and stature, I mean discussing the story, delving deep into it, and then thus providing the story with certain dynamism, and from telling one to another. Such stories will be endowed with organic strength. Such stories will be endowed with organic strength. Amit was answering each question in a lucid manner as far as possible. He could not fully gauge whether he was able to he was not fully he could not fully gauge whether he was able to satisfy Sambhav's curiosity and eagerness. Now the national short story writing competition was only 3 months away. Amit intended to complete his story although at a slow pace. This time he wished to pen a story which would prove to be the best one. Every morning he used to resolve that he will sit for writing a story for some time, but somehow the whole day got spent in performing different tasks, in solving many problems, and in carrying out endless responsibilities. At the end of the day, He could not figure out how time flew fast. Next morning, again he would wish to set aside some time for creative work, but the best of his intentions always suffered defeat. Every day, a host of new responsibilities stretched themselves before him, forcing him to admit that this was an endless process. The monsoon set in. With the first powerful downpour of the roof of the orphanage began leaking. The roof of the orphanage began leaking. As water started dripping down some of ceiling fans, there was a fear of short circuit. The sparse belongings, books, notebooks of the boys were falling prey to the monsoon dump. Boys shifted their belongings from one place to another place, but shortly the rain would batter down, leading to fresh and recalcitrant leaks. In the boys' common room, the carom board's plywood sheet had soaked in so much of water that it bloated out, quite unfit for play. Drenched in the rain, Amit ran around to buy huge polythene sheets for spreading on the terrace, to repair shapeless carom boards, to visit the doctor to procure medicine for the sick children. The list of the course prolonged itself. Sometimes he helped the children to dry their belongings. The month of the month of July is the season for academic admission. Some of the boys who have cleared their final school leaving exam wish to get enrolled in the engineering and medical colleges, but the orphanage was bereft of the means necessary for sponsoring professional education for its young inmates. No resources. This is the tragedy of India. I don't know about all the countries of the world. An orphan child who has no one to help on earth, he is not getting any benefit, any reservation from the system. All others are getting in the name of caste, in the name of uh, so and so. Our constitution says that governments have to take care of education and economic interest of the weaker section of the society, and who the weakest section of the society, that is an orphan. The others who are of some caste, they are getting reservation. They have their parents to look after. Some shelter above their head is there. Here there is no shelter, and still there is no reservation for these children. So that is the basic. Laws are not made taking into account the weakest. That is the tragedy of the systems. They have not made by the persons who have their eyes and mind open. The vested interests are creeping everywhere, and that is this selfishness has put the earth to such a situation where we have not seen the things and we have destroyed. That orphan child is not only the representative of the weakest in the humanity, but it also represents these flora and fauna who have weakest, although they are strongest in their helping the Mother Earth. They are giving oxygen. They are strongest in keeping us alive. Their role is the maximum. But we have never looked them and we have destroyed them recklessly. That is the biggest problem on earth today. And this story indicates towards that. The brilliant students in the orphanage often asked Amit, when there is a reservation of seats for so many social classes in all types of schools. Why are we deprived of this? Everybody knows what he is, his religion and his caste and social identity, whether he is advanced, backward, or socially handicapped. Do we belong to creamy layer? Because sometimes in backward caste, those people who are in creamy layer, that is income above certain limit, that is 8 lakhs and more, they are, their children are not given reservation there, so because they become creamy layer. So this Sambhav is asking whether we belong to creamy layer, we, the orphan child, whether we belong to creamy layer, we have been skimmed like the creamy layer from society and all benefits, isn't it? One who has the support of his father and his family, maybe weak one, is paid special attention and getting reservation, but one who has only empty space above his head instead of protective shadow is totally neglected by the society and by the governing system. Our admission in engineering and medical colleges cannot be secured even with donation. After all, who is going to give donation for us? If at all, there was one place marked by the brotherhood and harmony during the periods when the city was besieged by caste-based or religious-based communal riots. If at all there was one place marked by brotherhood and harmony during the periods when the city was besieged by caste-based or religious-based communal riots, then it was this orphanage. Every man in the city had begun to suspect each other. Circumstances were such that terror influenced the attitudes and behavior of different social and religious groups. However, even during those times, the orphanage was like a well-knit family. However, even during those times, the orphanage was like a well-knit family. During those days when curfew was clamped on the city, Amit thought he would get a leisure time. He got this impression because he would be obliged to stay indoors. Consequently, he could look forward to concentrating on his story and completing it. But this turned out to be only a wrong presumption. The imposition of curfew led to the increase in his responsibilities to protect the institution. To protect the institution from violent miscreants, he had to arrange for volunteers consisting of workers and grown-up boys who kept vigil throughout the night, procuring provisions for daily consumption became so difficult that he spent the entire time for this purpose. Milk became very scarce. During this turmoil, some influential and ruffian characters of the city tried to grab the vacant plot of the land belonging to and lying next to the orphanage building. Amit had to almost prostrate himself before police officers and bureaucrats of varying ranks to keep the wolves at bay. It was due to indomitable courage of the orphan boys that criminal men could not seize the land illegally. Ignoring the persistent rain, all the boys stretched themselves out on this plot of land and prevented the childlands from achieving their end. The boys repaired the dilapidated boundary wall and made it stand erect overnight. Boys themselves, with Ramadan. In a few days, they made plan for the vacant plot. They grew vegetables there and along the border planted flowering creepers, which in no time enjoyed luxuriant growth and began to sway gently in the breeze. Amit supported the children in their various endeavors with full jest. His struggle against circumstances swallowed up all his time in this manner, although he always remembered keenly that the story had to be completed for the national story competition, writing competition. In spite of his best efforts, Amit could not concentrate even for a few hours and complete the task on hand. If he allowed his imagination to spread wings in order to give shape to the story, some aspect of reality left forward to assault the wings. Only 3 days remained in which the story had to be completed. He thought that he could talk to Sambhav for a short while and then tell him that it was possible for him to complete the story. Tell him that it was not possible for him to complete a story for the competition. He went to Sambhav's room, but he was not there. His glance fell on Sambhav's study table, and he saw a diary. It was kept open with a pen struck along with a pen along with the spine of the notebook or diary. It seemed as though Sambhav was writing something some time back and suddenly got up to move around somewhere. He cast a look at the open pages of the diary and was taken aback. Carrying that day's date was an entry made by Sambhav. Carrying that date was an entry made by Sambhav in the diary. He is writing with that date. Chachaji wanted to write a story for the national story competition, but many engagements here or some problem there always hindered him from doing this. Amit's impatience was growing. He started turning the pages fast and read through equally fast. At the beginning were the following words. Today, Chachaji, at the beginning, in the beginning of the diary. Today, Chachaji told me that there will be a national story competition and explained about it in detail. He has explained to me what a good story is and the process of writing it. When I grow up to be as big as Chachaji, I too will write stories. In another place, he found the following words. People all around are fighting for the sake of one's community and religion. How wonderful it is that in our orphanage, very beautiful lines. How wonderful it is that in our orphanage everyone is ignorant about his or her religion and community. We not only refrain from fighting, but also love each other. If God wants to establish peace on earth, then why does he manifest himself and take incarnations again and again? If God wants to establish peace on earth, then why does he manifest himself and take incarnations again and again? If God wants to establish peace on earth, then why he manifest himself and take incarnations again and again? Why doesn't he simply turn into this earth into an orphanage? Why doesn't he simply turn this earth into an orphanage? Even better, why doesn't he, following the example of our home, abolish religion and caste structure from society, or all divisions, even nationality? Amit browsed through the diary speedily. Every different day displayed a different idea. 24th July, or different dates, he wrote something. 24th July. Today our orphanage got an old television. It is kept in the common room. There was a lot of enthusiasm among the boys about it. They refused to leave it alone, but Chachaji's strict instructions restrict television watching to 1 hour in the evening only. 1st August. Our horizons have expanded ever since the arrival of the television. Our horizons have extended ever since the arrival of the television. Till now, our world was limited to the four walls of the orphanage. Our school adjacent to this orphanage was our only window to the outside world. But the television is another big window through which we can see a big chunk of the world. Due to the influence of television, many of my friends are able to improve their language. This way of their way of reflecting is also changing. Their way of reflecting is also changing. 9th August. A gentleman, when people go to orphanage to satisfy their conscience that they are doing something, or whatever they have collected through their greed or all that, they want to unload the uh, to console their conscience and unload their something. A gentleman, probably in charge of some government department, came to our to visit our orphanage today. Different type of persons. Some good persons also visit orphanage sometimes to see or to improve the condition. A gentleman, probably in charge of some government department, came to visit our orphanage today. When all of us assembled in the common room, Didi asked us to begin with prayers and sing songs. Then she asked us to recite the shloka on education that we had learned by heart. To us all, this seemed very artificial and even pretentious. It was as though we were objects of exhibition. It was as though we were objects of exhibition. We were made to sit on the floor while this gentleman was sitting on the chair near the table. They coaxed him to have tea and snacks. He was certainly a good man, as he circulated the plate of snacks kept before him among us. Then he asked each of us about our aim in life. Most of us said that joining the police force or the army was the main objective of our life. Some expressed we wished to become teachers. Sagar, Saurabh, and Akash want to be doctors, whereas Shailendra and Anadi aspired to be engineers. Chandan, who has weak legs and limbs around, articulated his dream of becoming musician. The guests asked Chacha ji to explain why so many young boys wanted to join the army and the police force. This made Didi reply that due to influence of the electronic media, the boys have developed a craze for the khaki uniform. When my turn came, I got really confused. I mentioned hurriedly, I shall take up writing work when I grow up. I will become a writer when I will grow up. In today's meeting, Bablu blurted out an extreme opinion. He said, when he grows up, he will weed out all the criminals from society. He said, when he grows up, he will weed out all the criminals from society. It is amazing how every child started applauding. It means that in spite of one second. In today's meeting, Bablu blurted out an extreme opinion. He said, when he grows up, he will weed out all the criminals from society. It is amazing how every child started applauding. It means that in spite of their differing statements about their future, the boys shared the same set of ideas and sentiments. They were all in agreement with Bablu. All wished to be the same, all wished for the same thing from deep inside. The applause was spontaneous. In fact, the entire program of today was spontaneous. I liked this gentleman in the same way as I like Chachaji. He even visited our school situated next door. He felt sad at the absence of science lab and he assured us that he would return after 3-4 months. The school principal promised him that he would set up a science lab. 10th August. Often we hear on television that there are bad times. Day by day, the situation is worsening. After seeing our home and sensing its atmosphere, I don't think we have fallen on bad days or that everything is becoming bad. 11th August. One day, my friend and I were discussing the expenses involved in running the orphanage. Raju told us that this happens with the help of funds. I want to discuss this matter with Chachaji, but I don't know why I can't broach this topic with him. I feel very bad about the way our survival depends on others' donations. Why are we not made to work so that our expenses are balanced by our income? Along with our studies, we can work or make some handicrafted items that will generate revenue for the orphanage. For this, there should be arrangement for some training or skills, or else most of us will be fit enough to be only domestic servants. When I reach adulthood and start earning, I will donate 1/10 of my income to this home, orphanage home, for the rest of my life. Tomorrow I will tell my friends to take a vow to this effect and maintain it accordingly. 13th August. Today I told my friends that they could give in future a certain percentage of their income to the orphanage. Everyone was happy and vowed to do exactly this. It should be our effort to see that our home does not beg anybody. 25th August. We had great fun this morning. Now, how a new entry comes or happens in the orphanage of a small child. 25th August. We had great fun this morning. When Kamal got up in the morning, he heard a whimpering sound coming from the direction of the gate. It was still dark, though the first streak of light was visible. He went towards the source of the sound, he saw something swaddled in the cloth. He thought it was a small baby. He ran back and woke up Didi. She came and lifted that cloth wrapped bundle. She lifted the cloth wrapped bundle. It was a newborn female baby, lovable and tender. It was not more than 3 to 4 years old. In a very short time, this news spread all over the orphanage. Every inmate wanted to see the baby. Since it had been hungry for a long time, it kept on crying. When it grew tired of crying, it dropped off to sleep. It was helped to drink water and milk and was bathed properly. So long as the baby's milk and feeder bottle was not arranged, each boy sensed great anxiety. The very sight of the baby filled their heart with love. The very sight of the baby filled their heart with love. All the small boys simply refused to attend school and clustered around the baby that day. One boy touched its tiny hand, another one touched its foot, one smelled it, and yet another one drew Didi's attention to its beautiful eyes. All the boys in this manner asked all kinds of questions about the baby. Someone asked Didi whether this baby would remain with them. Shall all of us play with her? One boy wanted to know eagerly. She replied, she will be with us for a few days. If she finds good parents, then we will send her to them, or else her place is in the orphanage for girl children. All the boys shouted in chorus, we will not let her go. We will not let her go. Even if some people come forward to adopt her, we will not let her go. You will also love her just as a mother would love her own child. Our overwhelmed by the boy's emotional spontaneity. Didi's eyes were brimming with tears. At night, I wanted to ask Chachaji how the children would be able to detect the sincerity of their prospective foster parents, but could not do so. At night, I wanted to ask Chachaji how the children would be able to detect children and the management, to ask how the children would be able to, or the management will be able to detect the sincerity of their prospective foster parents, but could not do so. Boys gave her various names. All the boys of the orphanage started giving various names to the child. Boys gave her various names. Apart from the usual names like Dolly, Chinchi, and Minky, they gave her many more names. Every boy wanted to give her a name according to his inner wish. I thought about this particular bond between her and us. It is due to the fact, is it due to the fact that we live under the same roof in the home, that is orphanage? Is it true? Is it due to the fact that we live under the same roof in the home? Or is it our togetherness which is responsible for this? Some days ago, we were taught in our science class that in each atom there is a nucleus surrounded by electrons. Some days ago, we were taught in our science class that in each atom there is a nucleus surrounded by electrons. The electron that detaches itself, or gets detached, whatever, nucleus becomes independent and generate energy, or or flow of electricity. So are we, the orphans, independent electrons? Is our relationship like the electrons moving together in the flow of electric circuit? After reading this 29th August, okay, the story will be complete in another 10 minutes. So let us finish the story today. 29th August. In spite of securing top ranks in high school, Kishore and Sushil, my friends in the house, could not get admission into any good school for the intermediate course. Throughout this month, they made frenetic efforts in this regard. Those who had scored much less got enrolled. It is said that those kids whose fathers gave donations or enjoyed NRI status for admission without hassles. I do not know what NRI means. Children of higher ranking officials and of particular castes or social categories also got admission. Children whose fathers are school teachers also got admission. But this orphanage, which has no facility, even with that limited facility, which got good marks in the school, they could not get admission in further studies, because the others took below us, those who scored less than us in other schools, they got admission because of some caste or teachers, children, or NRI quota and all that. Can't it happen that this way, we orphans who have no support of any kind receive just a little attention in our academic life, if students less meritorious than us find their way to good schools or getting less mark than us, they get admission, then we should also get admission. We should not be deprived. We are asking for this facility not only for ourselves, we are asking this facility only for ourselves and not for the following generations. Since our children won't be orphans, our children will not be orphans, and there won't be any need for granting special favors or reservations for them. We will be there to look after our children. We will be there to look after our children. So we are orphans and we are asking some facility or reservation for ourselves, not for future generations. I want to discuss all this with Chachaji, but nowadays he's very busy and very sad. And he's sad because his story is still not complete. 1st December. We have learned to be content with whatever food and clothes the orphanage provides us. But the day the boys come to know that some outsider is coming to offer us food, they become very happy. Because they expect they will get tasty food and variety of food. We are told that mostly rich people do like this. Some others who celebrate some happy event or observe sad occasions also follow this practice. On sad occasions, on deaths, etc. also, and happy occasions also, they come here. Today at 7 p.m., someone will come to feed us. The boys are already wondering about the menu, puri, vegetarian curries, pulao, or even sweet dishes. We will assemble in the hall with our plates. As always, we begin our meals by offering prayers to the Lord first. Some boys like Deepu, Syamu, etc. eat at a remarkable speed so that they can help themselves to a great amount of food. I do not know what the man, our host, will think about us. What kind of boys are these? Those who come to feed us. Now see the psychology. What kind of boys are these? Those who come to feed us may not feel that they any love for us, but they seem to have. Those who come to feed us may not feel any love for us, but they seem to have unburdened themselves, and I do not know what kind of burdens they have got rid of. Is it burden of their excessive accumulation in their minds or on their souls? Even then, why should I blame those who come to feed us? Even then, why should I blame those who come to feed us? These people are at least better than those who don't bother, who don't care, or who don't think of us. Those people are at least better than those who can afford to help us, but they don't do so. Sometimes people also come over to distribute cloths, blankets, and quilts, etc. 8th December. 8th December. That is the last. People misunderstand us quite often. Misunderstand us quite often. Many of us have reached here either as victims of circumstances or of accidents. People misunderstand us quite often. Many of us have reached here either as victims of circumstances or of accidents. Some born of unacceptable relationships were abandoned by their parents and sent here to this orphanage. Will our past, the realities about our social origins, determine the course of our life? Can't we be assessed on the basis of our qualities? Can't we be assessed on the basis of our qualities and our drawbacks, our merits and demerits? Can't we blossom like lotuses and spring out of the mud? Can't we blossom like lotuses and spring out of the mud? Now the last 2 paragraphs. As Amit continued to read, he felt a thrill running through him. As Amit continued to read, he felt a thrill running through him. In Sambhav's simple, pure, and spontaneous narrative, Amit visualized in a story. in Sambhav's simple, pure, and spontaneous narrative, Amit visualized a new story. He sank deep into this boy's deep reflection, and then suddenly Sambhav turned up. And then suddenly Sambhav came. He had just gone out of his room and was around, patting Sambhav's shoulders. Patting Sambhav's shoulders, Amit said, "My child, please forgive me. My child, please forgive me. Seeing your diary open, I began reading out of affection. I began reading it out of affection. Because of our intimacy, I wanted to know what you think. I had no wish to intrude upon your privacy. I had no wish to intrude upon your privacy. I could not complete my story. I could not complete my story. But my quest for the story is over now. But my quest for the story is over now. Henceforth, you will accompany me in my literary journey. Henceforth, you will accomplish me in my literary journey, or in the competition I am sending this story, and if we will get the reward, the story will be in your name and you will get it and I will accompany you. You will prepare the story, and these excerpts from your diary will, from its various strands, make the necessary changes and give your observations and ideas shape of a story. That night, Amit stayed awake till late. That night, Amit stayed awake till late. Till late, he could not remove Sambhav's diaries from his mind. He was not able to remove Sambhav's diary from his mind. It seemed to him that the enlightenment that emanated from the society towards the orphanage was not more than that which flowed from the reverse direction. The light which is going, which can go, which is going from the orphanage to the society is much more than the light or darkness, whichever is coming from the society to the orphanage. So this was the beginning of the novel and the story. In Hindi it is Kahani Ki Talash, and in English the search of the story. So here the Bhav Ganga ends here, the 6th edition of Bhav Ganga, We the Beings on Earth. And next Thursday we will meet again to international viewers in English edition. Thank you very much.